Welcome back to Triathlon Training Explained, powered by TrainingPeaks. Now, you may have heard of terms like overgearing and undergearing. Yeah, well, this is when we ride in a slightly higher or lower gear choice than we would normally opt for that would allow us to ride at our preferred and optimal cadence.
Yeah, so both of these techniques have their own individual training benefits. The overgearing is often referred to as big gear cycling and helps improve our strength and our power, whereas the undergearing can help to improve our pedaling technique.
Yeah, well, it's this first one, the overgearing. I should probably stop this now, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's this first one, the overgearing, that we're going to be focusing on today. Now, it's really popular within triathlon and time trialing, so we're going to be taking a closer look at it, explaining exactly what it is and how you can use it. Okay then, let's start off by showing you what overgearing should look like. Now, generally speaking, it'll look a little bit like this. Largest chainring on the front and then one of the smallest cogs on the back. But obviously this is terrain dependent. If you're on a rolling terrain, you're probably going to want to bump up from one of those smaller cogs into a slightly larger and easier gear, or even into the smaller chainring if you're going up hills.
Yeah, but this does come with a slight caveat because you need to make sure that you've really dialed in and nailed that good pedaling action. And for triathlon and time trialing, that's definitely somewhere in the region of about 90 RPM. If you try and push on and get on with this before you're ready, you run the risk of literally running before you can walk, and you can start developing a bad or an inefficient pedaling style.
Yeah, you know that person that churns a big gear at 40 RPM all day long. Now, personally speaking, my preferred cadence for time trialing and triathlon is around 85 to 90 RPM. So essentially anything below that is overgearing for myself, but I would tend to work somewhere between 50 to 80 RPM for overgearing.
Now then, the jury is out as to whether this overgearing work can be proven, and scientists are struggling to really manage to do that. However, that being said, there are many pro athletes who swear by it and use it all the time.
Yeah, take Brett Sussin for example. He's one of the most famous triathlon coaches out there. He prescribes this to pretty much all his athletes, including the likes of Daniela Reef and James Cunnamar. Now, I personally use this a lot in my own training, really feel the benefits from it. I definitely feel a lot stronger after good stints of overgear work.
Yeah, now this type of riding is really beneficial in time trialing, which is essentially how we all race a triathlon. But there are many other aspects that we can benefit in our riding too. For example, if you need to turn over a big gear unexpectedly, if you need to muscle your way up a short climb, or if you just need to stay on top of your gear when you're accelerating.
Absolutely, well, it's probably time we show you how to use it. Hey Fraser, I thought we were overgear.
Right, so let's start with a few ground rules for this overgear, big gear style of training. Firstly, you have to maintain good form, and that means focusing on good knee alignment and focusing on your pedal stroke. And yes, that does mean that you're going to have to stay seated too, or at least for as much as you can. And you also really have to think about pedaling in circles. Don't stomp up and down on the pedals. It is really important that when you start the overgear work that you don't try and go too low for your RPM. Something like 75 is a really good number to start at, and as you build confidence and strength, you can start to lower that number. And similarly, if you start to experience knee pain, it is important that you back right off and perhaps supplement some traditional strength work off of the bike to try and amend that. And finally, I also think it's really good to think about supplementing just as much overgear work with regular cadence, or even work above your regular cadence.
Right then, it's probably time we give you some session ideas so you can start playing around this overgearing work in your own training. So a really simple one to start off with here is 5 by 8 minutes at overgear at a sweet spot intensity. And we're going to take 4 minutes recovery between each of those reps at zone 2 intensity and a nice high cadence. And then we can build from this and start playing around with the cadence during the session. So another idea is 3 by 15 minutes, overgearing at a sweet spot intensity. Now within that, we'll do 3 minutes at 75 RPM to start off with, and then we'll drop down to 3 minutes at 70 RPM, 3 minutes at 65 RPM, 3 minutes at 60 RPM, and then finishing off with 3 minutes at 55 RPM. and obviously taking a good recovery between each of those, so somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes, zone 2. And then once you really start to build your confidence and build your strength with this overgear work, you can start to do some slightly longer sustained efforts, so somewhere around 20 to 45 minutes overgearing work. And it's really good practice on these to try and stay in your aero bars throughout them.
Yeah, so in terms of where we fit these sessions in, a lot of coaches will prescribe overgear work in the winter or the off-season when we're trying to build our base or our strength. But that's not to say they have a real use or benefit in the lead up to and during our race season.
Yeah, absolutely. You should actually try and do this all year round if you can. Don't just get to race season and stop doing your overgearing work, because you can actually start building it into those race specific sessions and building some fatigue in the lead up to the session itself.
Yeah, exactly, Mark. In fact, I used to do this type of stuff quite often in the lead up to, in specific, an Ironman event. I would do long, prolonged efforts that would start off with overgearing work just to deaden the legs and create that fatigue, and then move into the more race-specific type of work.
Exactly, and not forgetting that it will help to maintain that good pedaling efficiency that we mentioned earlier. Now, in terms of how often you do this during your training plan, well, it's good to do at least one, if not maybe 2 overgearing sessions per week. But obviously, this is all dependent on how often you do ride per week, because you do want to maintain a good balance between overgearing work and your normal cadence type of riding.
Yeah, and in terms of a number or an amount that we could do these overgear sessions, we would suggest up to 1/3 of your riding to be done as overgear. That's not to say you have to do 1/3, but that would be the cap that you could set.
Well, that's our lot on overgearing. Sorry, Fred. I just had to do it one more time there.
Yeah, I know, clearly, Mark.
Well, if you are already using overgearing in your own training, we'd love to hear from you, how you find it and how you incorporate that into your own training. So please drop that in the comment section below.
Yeah, and of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumb up like button. Find the globe somewhere on screen, click that to get all the other content on the channels. And if you want to see another video that we did with strength training and Will Clark, you can find that here.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see our aero testing video with David McNamee on the velodrome, then you can see that by clicking just down here.